Chosen ones, listen to me carefully. What I am about to share is not ordinary, and it is not meant for everyone. This is an urgent and important message, and only those who truly walk the divine path of God will feel called to stay. If you are not aligned with God, if you are not serious about your spiritual journey, this message will not resonate with you, and that is perfectly fine. But if you are one of God's chosen ones, you are here because heaven allowed it. This message has reached you at the exact right time, not a moment too early and not a moment too late. God has spoken clearly, and the instruction is firm. He said to be completely silent for the next 48 hours. This silence is not a suggestion, and it is not symbolic. It is a divine warning and a divine protection. There is a reason God is asking you to pause, to withdraw your voice, and to stop explaining yourself. And if you stay with me until the end, you will understand exactly what God is shielding you from and what He is preparing you for. Before we continue, chosen ones, give a like to this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon, share this message with other chosen ones, and comment 444 in the comments to confirm that you are aligned, protected, and listening.
Why God is calling you into silence now. Chosen one, I want you to slow down your mind for a moment and listen with your spirit, not just your ears. God is not asking you to be silent because you have done something wrong. Let me make that very clear. This silence is not correction. It is alignment. Many of you have been feeling mentally tired, emotionally overstimulated, and spiritually stretched. You have been thinking too much, explaining too much, reacting too quickly, and carrying conversations that God never told you to carry. And now, God is stepping in. There are moments when God speaks through action, and there are moments when He speaks through restraint. Silence is one of God's most powerful instructions, especially for His chosen ones. When God calls you into silence, it means He is taking control of the situation Himself. He is asking you to step back because your voice, your emotions, and your reactions are no longer needed in this phase. You see, chosen ones are different. You are more sensitive spiritually. Your words carry weight even when you don't realize it. Every time you speak out of emotion, frustration, or the need to be understood, you release spiritual energy. Some people release energy without consequence, but when a chosen one does it, it creates ripples. God is asking you to be silent because too much of your energy has been leaking into places it doesn't belong. Think about it. Lately, how many times have you felt misunderstood? How often have you felt the urge to explain your intentions, defend your heart, or justify your choices? That urge did not come from peace. It came from pressure. And pressure is not how God operates. God operates in stillness, clarity, and authority. Silence restores all three. God is calling you into silence now because there is too much noise around your destiny. People's opinions, expectations, projections, and assumptions have been surrounding you. Even well-meaning people can become noise. God knows that if you keep listening to every voice, including your own anxious thoughts, you will miss His instruction. So He removes the noise by asking you to be still. This silence is also about timing. Chosen one, timing is everything in the spiritual realm. Speaking at the wrong time can delay what God is trying to release. Many blessings are delayed not because God withholds them, but because His people speak too soon. God is protecting what is still forming. Just like a seed must remain hidden in the soil before it breaks through the ground, certain things in your life must remain unspoken until they are ready to stand on their own. God is calling you into silence because you are transitioning. Transitions are dangerous seasons if you talk too much. When you are between who you were and who God is shaping you to become, you are spiritually exposed. Silence acts like a covering during this vulnerable phase. It keeps unfinished plans from being sabotaged. It keeps premature opinions from discouraging you. It keeps emotional reactions from pulling you backward. Another reason God is calling you into silence is because He wants to reset your inner voice. Many chosen ones struggle not because God is silent, but because their minds are too loud. You have been replaying conversations, imagining future scenarios, and questioning past decisions. God cannot compete with constant mental noise. Silence quiets the mind so the spirit can hear again. Let me tell you something important. Silence is not weakness. Silence is discipline. Weak people talk to feel powerful. Chosen ones stay silent because they already are. When you stop reacting, stop explaining, and stop announcing your moves, you regain authority. God is restoring your authority through silence. God is also calling you into silence because He is fighting battles you are not meant to fight. Some conflicts resolve themselves when you stop feeding them with words. Some people lose interest when you stop reacting. Some spiritual attacks dissolve when they are ignored. Silence starves opposition. That is why God said, "Be completely silent, not selectively silent." This is about full obedience. You may feel uncomfortable at first. Silence exposes internal restlessness. It reveals how addicted we can be to validation, response, and control. But stay with it. That discomfort is detox. God is flushing out emotional dependencies that no longer serve you. This silence is also a test of trust. Can you trust God enough to not interfere? Can you believe that He sees what you see and more? When you stay silent, you are telling God, "I trust you to handle this better than I ever could." And that level of trust moves heaven. Chosen one, this instruction is temporary, but the impact will be permanent. 48 hours may not seem like much, but in the spiritual realm, obedience in a short window can shift entire seasons. God is asking for silence now because something is aligning behind the scenes. Conversations are happening without you. Doors are being adjusted. Outcomes are being decided. And your silence keeps you protected while God works. Do not fear this silence. Embrace it. Rest in it. Let it recalibrate you. This is not God pulling away from you. This is God pulling you closer, away from distractions, away from noise, away from emotional exhaustion. When God calls His chosen ones into silence, it is always because something greater is about to speak on their behalf. Stay with me, because next, I am going to explain the spiritual war you cannot see, and why this silence is more powerful than you realize. And let me speak plainly to you now, chosen one. Some of you have been feeling an unusual pull to withdraw lately. You didn't plan it, you didn't force it, you just felt tired of talking, tired of explaining, tired of being available. That was not avoidance, that was discernment awakening. God was already preparing you for this instruction before you even realized it. Silence is where God recalibrates your emotional nervous system. When you stop speaking, your spirit finally gets a chance to breathe. Your body relaxes. Your thoughts slow down. And suddenly, you begin to notice things you were too busy to see before. Patterns become clear. Intentions become obvious. Truth stops hiding. That clarity does not come through conversation. It comes through observation. God is also calling you into silence because some people around you are listening with the wrong intentions. Not everyone needs access to your thoughts, your struggles, or your next steps. Oversharing has cost many chosen ones unnecessary pain. Silence restores boundaries without confrontation. It allows God to naturally separate who is meant to walk with you from who was only meant to walk near you for a season. And understand this deeply. Silence does not mean God has removed your voice. It means He is refining it. When this period passes, you will speak less, but every word will land with more weight. You will not need to convince. You will not need to chase understanding. Your presence alone will communicate what words never could. This is why God is calling you into silence now. Not to diminish you, but to deepen you. Not to hide you, but to protect what He is shaping within you. The spiritual war you cannot see. Chosen one, there is a battle happening around you that does not announce itself. It does not always come with chaos or obvious conflict. Most of the time, it comes quietly, through pressure, irritation, confusion, and subtle emotional pulls. This is the kind of war that drains you without leaving visible marks. And that is exactly why God has commanded silence. You see, not every war is fought with confrontation. Some wars are fought with restraint. Some are won by refusing to engage. The enemy does not need you to fall completely. He only needs you distracted, reactive, and emotionally exposed. And words are one of the easiest ways to expose a chosen one. Every time you speak without discernment, you reveal where you are emotionally. Every time you react, you show what still triggers you. Every time you explain yourself to people who already decided how they see you, you give them access to your inner world. Silence shuts all of that down. This spiritual war is not always about people. Sometimes it is about influence. Sometimes it is about timing. Sometimes it is about wearing you down slowly, so that when the real opportunity arrives, you are too tired to receive it. God sees this. That is why he intervened with a clear instruction. Be silent. Chosen ones are often targeted not because they are weak, but because they are impactful. Your peace disrupts certain agendas. Your clarity exposes certain lies. Your growth threatens comfort zones. And when you cannot be stopped directly, you are provoked indirectly. Through misunderstandings, through delayed responses, through subtle disrespect, all designed to pull a reaction out of you. Silence is spiritual armor. It blocks access. When you do not react, you deny the enemy data. When you do not explain, you remove leverage. When you do not announce your plans, you prevent interference. Silence makes you unpredictable, and unpredictability is dangerous to opposition. There are eyes on you, chosen one, not because you are arrogant, not because you seek attention, but because light is noticeable in dark places. And when light moves quietly, it becomes even harder to monitor. God is asking you to go quiet because he is repositioning you without alerting those who would try to stop the shift. This is also a mental war. Many of the attacks you feel are internal. Doubt, overthinking, replaying conversations, imagining worst-case scenarios. That is not random. That is spiritual pressure trying to exhaust your mind. Silence interrupts that cycle. When you stop talking externally, your internal dialogue begins to settle. And in that stillness, God begins to restore order. Let me say something bold and clear. Not every thought you have deserves your attention. Not every feeling deserves a response. And not every situation requires your voice. Discernment is knowing when silence is the loudest answer. God is teaching you discernment at a higher level now. Some of you have been trying to explain your heart to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. That is spiritual warfare disguised as conversation. The more you talk, the more drained you feel. The more silent you become, the more grounded you feel. That is not coincidence. That is alignment. This war also involves spiritual monitoring. When chosen ones speak too openly about what God is doing, it creates unnecessary resistance. Not everything God shows you is meant to be shared immediately. Revelation matures in silence. Calling grows in stillness. Power consolidates when you stop broadcasting your inner process. Silence is how God hides you in plain sight. You are still present, still observing, still moving, but no longer announcing, no longer reacting, no longer feeding narratives that do not serve your future. That is strategic invisibility, and it is powerful. Some of you have noticed that certain people only become active when you speak. When you are quiet, they lose direction. They do not know how to engage you. That is because silence removes their entry point. God is teaching you that not every door deserves to be opened, and not every knock deserves a response. This spiritual war is also about authority. Authority does not come from volume, it comes from alignment. The more aligned you are with God, the less you need to prove. Silence is proof of confidence. Silence says, I know who I am, I know who God is, and I do not need external validation. Let me reassure you of something important. Choosing silence does not mean you are losing. It means you are winning quietly. Heaven does not need noise to move. God does not need your defense to justify his plan. When you step back, he steps forward. There are battles God never intended you to fight with words. Some outcomes are decided the moment you choose restraint. The moment you refuse to engage, something shifts in the spiritual atmosphere. Pressure lifts, confusion clears, peace begins to return. This is why silence feels powerful and uncomfortable at the same time. Power challenges old habits. You may feel the urge to speak, to clarify, to correct, to explain. Let that urge pass. That urge is not urgency. It is conditioning, and God is breaking it. Chosen one, you are not under attack because you are failing. You are being refined because you are advancing. This silence is not retreat, it is positioning. God is moving pieces around you, aligning outcomes, closing mouths that spoke against you, opening doors that require no announcement. Stay silent, stay aware, stay grounded. This war is already being handled. And in the next part, I will show you exactly what begins to happen when a chosen one fully obeys this silence and how it transforms you from the inside out. Let me take you even deeper, chosen one, because some battles are fought in dimensions you were never taught to recognize. There are moments when the enemy studies your patterns, not to attack you openly, but to predict you. How you respond under pressure, how quickly you explain yourself, how easily your emotions can be stirred. Silence disrupts that entire pattern. When you stop responding the way you used to, the strategy against you collapses. This is why silence feels like power returning to your body. You are no longer emotionally accessible to every trigger. You are no longer predictable. And when predictability disappears, control disappears with it. God is breaking cycles that have followed you for years, not by confrontation, but by restraint. Some of you have been wondering why certain conversations never lead to resolution, why explanations are met with more confusion, why clarity seems to invite more resistance. That is because you were never meant to win those battles with words. The moment you went silent, heaven took over the conversation for you, and heaven speaks through outcomes, not arguments. Silence also protects you from premature exposure. When God is elevating you, visibility can be dangerous too soon. Not everyone celebrates growth. Not everyone supports change. Some observe quietly, waiting for the right moment to interfere. God removes your voice temporarily so he can move you safely, without drawing unnecessary attention. There is also a cleansing happening in silence. Old emotional attachments weaken. Old habits lose strength. Old fears lose their grip. When you stop feeding them with words, they begin to starve. That is spiritual hygiene. That is how God resets your inner world without force. And let me tell you something that may surprise you. Silence is often God's response to prayer. You asked for peace. You asked for clarity. You asked for direction. God answered by removing noise. He answered by asking you to pause, to be still, to trust. This is why chosen ones often feel lonely during seasons of silence. But you are not abandoned. You are being covered. God is closer in silence than in noise. He is nearer in stillness than in chaos. If you listen closely, you will feel him steadying you from the inside out. This war does not require your anxiety. It requires your obedience, and obedience in this moment sounds like silence. What happens when a chosen one obeys silence? Chosen one, obedience to silence does not feel dramatic at first. There are no instant fireworks, no loud confirmations. What happens instead is subtle, deep, and profoundly healing. The first thing you begin to notice is a shift inside your mind. Thoughts slow down. Mental noise starts losing its grip. The constant need to respond, to clarify, to anticipate reactions begins to fade. This is where healing quietly begins. When you obey silence, your nervous system finally rests. Many chosen ones live in a constant state of alertness, always sensing energy, reading between lines, and picking up on what others miss. That awareness is a gift. But without rest, it becomes exhausting. Grace allows correction without shame. God responds to humility faster than perfection. Chosen one, silence is not about control. It is about trust, and trust is the foundation of every breakthrough God brings. What God is preparing after the 48 hours. Chosen one, silence is never the destination. It is preparation. God never asks his people to pause without purpose. What comes after these 48 hours is not random, and it is not accidental. It is intentional, measured, and aligned with the work he has been doing beneath the surface while you were quiet. After this period of silence, the first thing you will notice is clarity. Not forced clarity, not rushed answers, but a calm knowing that settles into your spirit. Decisions that once felt complicated begin to feel simple. You will not need to analyze every option. You will sense what aligns and what does not. This clarity is not intellectual, it is spiritual. It comes from alignment, not effort. God is also restoring your voice, but in a different way. You will speak less, but every word will carry weight. You will no longer feel the need to over-explain or convince. Authority returns quietly. When you speak after obedience, people listen differently, not because you demand attention, but because your words are rooted in peace. Another thing God is preparing is emotional stability. After silence, you will notice that things that once triggered you no longer have the same power. Situations that once pulled you into reaction feel distant. This does not mean you are numb, it means you are regulated. God is strengthening your emotional foundation so that future responsibilities do not overwhelm you. Relationships will also begin to shift. Some will deepen naturally, without effort. Others will fade without conflict. Silence creates alignment, and alignment reveals truth. God is removing relationships that relied on access to your emotional labor and strengthening those built on mutual respect and understanding. You may also notice opportunities opening quietly. Doors will not always announce themselves. Some invitations will come subtly. Some chances will appear without pressure. This is God moving you forward without chaos. When you are aligned, opportunities do not chase you. They find you. God is also preparing you for increased responsibility. Chosen ones are entrusted with more as they mature. Silence builds maturity. It teaches restraint, discernment, and patience. These qualities are required for the next level God is calling you into. Without them, promotion becomes overwhelming. With them, it becomes sustainable. There is also a deep internal confidence that emerges after obedience. You trust yourself more. You trust God more. You stop second-guessing every step. This confidence is quiet, but it is solid. It does not depend on validation or approval. It comes from knowing you obeyed when it mattered. God is also healing your perception. You will see situations more clearly. You will recognize manipulation faster. You will sense alignment sooner. Silence sharpens discernment, and that discernment protects you moving forward. After these 48 hours, you may feel called to move differently, speak differently, respond differently. This is not loss of personality. This is refinement. God is not changing who you are. He is clarifying who you are. You may also experience peace that does not depend on circumstances. This is one of the greatest gifts of obedience. Peace that remains even when answers are still unfolding. That peace becomes your anchor. Let me tell you something important. After silence, God often accelerates movement. What felt delayed begins to progress quickly, not because you pushed, but because alignment removes resistance. Things flow when you stop forcing. You will also notice a stronger sense of purpose. Distractions lose their appeal. Time feels more intentional. Energy is directed instead of scattered. This is divine focus returning. God may also release confirmation through a conversation, a scripture, a sudden insight. These confirmations often come after obedience, not before. Silence prepares you to receive them without doubt. Chosen one, what God is preparing is not just an outcome. He is preparing you. Outcomes change. Preparation lasts. The version of you that emerges after this silence is steadier, wiser, and more grounded. Do not rush back into noise. Carry the stillness with you. Let silence teach you when to speak and when to wait. This discernment will protect you long after these 48 hours end. God never wastes obedience. What you are stepping into has been waiting for you to become ready to receive it without losing yourself. And now, let me bring this message to a close so that you can carry this instruction with peace, confidence, and trust in what God is doing in your life. Conclusion. The final confirmation. Chosen one, take a deep breath and let this settle into your spirit. God did not bring this message to you by accident. You were guided here because your heart was ready to hear it and your spirit was ready to obey. Silence is not something to fear. It is something to honor. It is where God protects you, restores you, and prepares you without pressure. These 48 hours are not about what you lose. They are about what you gain. You gain clarity without struggle, peace without explanation, strength without confrontation. You are not falling behind by being still. You are being positioned. While you are quiet, God is active. While you rest, He rearranges. While you hold your peace, He speaks on your behalf. Do not underestimate the power of obedience in small windows of time. What feels like a pause to you is often a turning point in the spiritual realm. Trust that God knows exactly why He asked this of you now. Trust that nothing meant for you will pass you by while you are silent. Carry this stillness gently. Let it calm your mind. Let it ground your emotions. Let it remind you that you are safe in God's hands. You do not need to rush. You do not need to explain. You do not need to fight. God is handling what you released. Before you go, chosen one, if this message resonated with your spirit, give a like to this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon, and share this message with other chosen ones who need this confirmation right now. And comment 444 in the comments as a sign that you are aligned, protected, and walking in obedience. Remain still. Remain faithful. God is already moving.